back to Pwn TV. So in this video I'm going to do a very quick tutorial on how you should play Runefencer in 2019. I have done this video in the past. In fact, this is basically a rework of my 2017 how to play Runefencer video that I have on my channel. That video ended up being 40 minutes long and very, very verbose. It went into detail on how to use a fast cast set on Runefencer, how to use a tank set on Runefencer, what hybrid sets were on Runefencer. It even gave you details on how to actually use Lua code programming to write gear swap Luas so you could actually play Runefencer with a gear swap. All of that was great, and a lot of people had mixed emotions about most of the content, but I wanted something that was more cut and dry that I could post that you guys could just quickly log into, watch a few minutes of, and be done with it. And so that's what this video is all about. I'm going to give you the bare bones definition of how to play Runefencer in 2019. All of the stuff that I posted in my 2017 video is great, but in my experience over the past 2 years, every time, especially if you use a gear swap on jobs like Runefencer, you die because you switch into the wrong gear at the wrong time and you're not ready for it, okay? So depending on the content that you're going into, you're going to wear different gear for that content. This is a no-brainer, so it changes all the time. But particularly I find with Runefencer, especially since mine is still not mastered yet, shame on me, I find that Runefencer does best if they don't change their gear at all. So they pick a set of gear and they stay in it the entire duration of the battle until the battle is over, and they change minimal pieces a minimal number of times. And this is going to allow them a little bit more job security, I suppose I could say, because you know your HP is never going to drop when you blink into a set like a fast cast set or something. You know how much damage you're reducing with your DT set, for example. So when you create a hybridized set of equipment for a particular fight, then you roll with that and you're usually good. So what I did for this video is I just created a generic set of gear that I think is more or less obtainable for any player returning to the game. They could easily get all of this stuff. There's one piece I think is a little bit tricky to get, but let's be honest, Aeonic runs are happening all the time on populated servers, so one of these pieces being a Helm Tier 4 Rizenjima boss piece. That is easy to get. In fact, I actually have gotten every single Helm treasure available. Like all of the Helm drops, I've gotten them, and they've been dropped to the floor plenty of times because that's how many people run Aeonics on this server, like every day. So that gear is hella easy to get to, so don't get it twisted. Easy shit. The difficulty might scale because they are helms, but the gear in general will fall to the floor more often than not because nobody wants it. But this is good stuff. So let's look at the set that I've generated. So this is a set of equipment that I like on Runefencer for all intents and purposes. And what it's going to do is it's going to min-max for everything that you want to do on Runefencer. That is your tank. This set particularly has, at the moment, 47 DT, plus an additional physical DT tier 2 minus 5 on this sword here. So technically that's over 50. So you're usually around 50. That's what you want to be. And you're doing that with a set like this with other things which we'll talk about, which makes it fantastic. It's a hybridized set, min-maxing in every slot as much as I think is possible for a generic boss battle on Final Fantasy XI, which you would bring Runefencer to. Small sidebar before we get into all of that. Couple of sub jobs you want to play on Runefencer. There are 3 sub jobs for this particular job. You would ideally want to bring Dark Knight if you know the content is going to be AoE Poisonga is really great on Runefencer. Like, that's fantastic. And you get stunned if you sub Dark, so you could bring Dark Knight, and that is a fantastic sub job to pull all the hate because it's just got so many spells that it can spam. Great, fine, sure, do that. I particularly like to bring Blue Mage, but a lot of main Runefencers would rather bring Dark Knight because they're already mastered, they have all of their gear, and they just want to spam some shit. And that's totally fine. But me, I am in love with the Cocoon spell on Blue Mage. I think it's fantastic as a sub job in general because of Cocoon. Fantastic, okay? Metallic Body, all this other shit as well, Poison Breath, come on, Blue Mage. It's fantastic. So those are 2 really good ones. And then the third one that you would probably, any other job you would not be caught dead subbing on Rune. The third job, beyond Dark Knight, beyond Blue Mage, is Warrior. That's it. You got those 3. You could maybe bring White Mage or Red Mage if you're trolling and you're low on healing, for like an Omen run, for instance. But let's be honest, if you're running Omen, you're subbing Dark Knight for Poisonga anyway. So, like, come on. Those are the three that you would bring. Okay, sidebar is over. Let's keep the video short, and I'll just go over all of the min-max pieces in this set, and I'll show you a couple other things that you could consider playing if you're returning to this game and just want to really quickly get gear for Runefencer. And then beyond that, unless you're a Runefencer main, you already have all that other information about the JSE. I will just let you guys know right now, in my previous video in 2017, I had 0 of 15 Runefencer JSEs because of my inventory crisis, and here in 2019, nothing has changed. I have no JSE for this job. Let's get into the set. So A tier, maxed out, is a great sword for Runefencer. If you're not using it and you don't have the Ergon weapon, then you're doing it wrong, okay? Because I have Lionheart, but Lionheart is only good for DPS, and if you're Runefencer, you're not there to DPS 99% of the time, okay? 99% of the time, there are exceptions, but 99% of the time, you're there to tank. You're there to tank, and you're there to probably rake the boss so the summoners can deal some damage, okay? That's what your job is, okay? So you got the A tier for that, okay? Enmity is fantastic. PD tier, tier 2 PDT is fantastic. Lunge also, there's nothing wrong. Weapon skill damage on the back end, that's a plus. Magic evasion 50 is not to be overlooked. Accuracy 70 is insane, okay? So you'll notice on the rest of these pieces there's low accuracy because as you master this job, your accuracy improves. Runefencer doesn't need that much accuracy. Low tier fresh 99 might miss a lot, but in all honesty, you want to max out on the other attributes, enmity and damage taken and HP. Those are fantastic. Accuracy, not so much. Magic evasion is great, though. Love it. Okay, so that's that. The Kaja grip. This is an ambuscade grip. It's one tier lower than the maximum tier you can get because I've been spending my points on the other ambuscade weapons currently, so I haven't gotten around to finishing this one yet, but it's one tier. You can go one tier higher than this, and it stacks haste on the item, which honestly for Runefencer is not relevant. It's not going to be relevant, okay? So Kaja grip is pretty good. There are other options, plenty of options for grips. Blood Rain Strap for DPS, but this video is not about DPS. Balarama for enmity and parrying, and Greatsword is fantastic. HP as well. There's not a single bad buff on Balarama. And if you're ever curious on how you can get some of this gear, I'll just show you really quick. There is bgwiki.com right here on the screen. You can type any of this stuff into that search bar and you will find out exactly how to get it. And if you can't, then you just Google it or go to the FF Encyclopedia old wiki that used to be updated. Currently, it's not being updated as much, but it's still got a lot of content on it from old school stuff. So if it's older gear and it's not on BG Wiki and there's no details on BG Wiki, just go to FF Encyclopedia and you'll find it. Okay, it's a .org. So that's that. Moving on with the set. For the ammo slot, you can go a lot of things. A lot of people really enjoy the Staunch Tathlum. I would ideally want a high quality one, but I would want Cabby to sign me one probably. All right, so you would go with that because that's really good for all of those buffs. To a tank, Runefencer is fantastic, but if you're min-maxing, I think Yamarang has more to offer than Staunch Tathlum in general because magic evasion is great. Even though technically speaking, this Staunch Tathlum, if it was high quality, would be roughly the same anyway because resistance to status ailments roughly translates to magic evasion in the sense that if the boss charmed you, for example, you don't get charmed, 10, plus 10, you don't get charmed. Resistance to charm, plus 10 right there. Also, magic evasion charms a magic attack. So magic evasion, 15, that's basically the same thing, okay? More or less the same thing for resisting charms. So that's just something I wanted to note. So you can go a lot of ways with the ammo slot, but I just like the Yamarang. Going on to the second row here, this is a spicy headpiece that I don't see a lot of people use, but for all the jobs on this, you need to get this item. Halidus Helm is fantastic. I'm going to make more videos in the future about my favorite helmets, and this is going to be up there. Halidus Helm is a great helmet. I forget exactly how to get it, but every stat on this helmet is relevant. Now, of course, the JSE is probably fantastic for this slot, sure, but I don't have any JSE. This is good for so many different jobs. I play it on all these jobs. Enmity 8 is insane, okay? Haste is up there. All the other stats are pretty up there, and it has HP on it. Like, guys, okay? Fantastic piece of gear. There's better stuff if you're trying to do certain content and you find you don't need the enmity spikes that the Halidus Helm has to offer. You can go the Anmo set. or the Meganata set, and both of them are really good for certain content. Okay, you can go a lot of different ways. If you're really burning through mana, you could put Rawhide on for a little while because it has the refresh tick on it, and the stats are pretty relevant with the HP and all. But in general, it's kind of whatever you want to do. But the Ayanmo set in general is great. The Meganata set in general is great. These are easy sets to get, but they are time consuming. I think most of this other gear, not really being ambuscade stuff that you have to upgrade, is much easier to get in general and faster to get. So you could just gear up your Runefencer and do basically all the content in the game. I don't think there's anything in the game my Runefencer is not capable of doing. If I have the right gear equipped and I don't blink out of it, I could probably do anything I need to do, more or less. But some content, obviously, you don't bring Runefencer to. There's better jobs to bring to it, and that's what I would do in that case. So that's that. Okay, so for the next slot, you would want to go high quality in this with the Moonlight necklace, but I have Moonbeam necklace. It's great for all 5 of these jobs. There's a lot of other things that you can do. Dualism collars not to be overlooked because light and dark resist is very rare for any job, and this is all jobs light and dark resist, and magic defense on it as well, so that's good. The other necks that I like to use on Runefencer in particular, I like to use Loricate if I need to. If I'm min-maxing and this happens to be what I pick, then that's what I would use. But it's missing a lot of the stuff that the Moonbeam necklace has that you really need, like Immunity and Magic Evasion, Spell Interruption, Defense. This is stuff that you really need on Runefencer. So that's why I usually just keep the moon pieces on. The auction house purchasable moon pieces are really good in this game, mostly. In addition to Loricate, there's also the Unmoving Collar and the Warder's Charm +1. These are both really good, okay, as well. And the Bathy Choker is not bad either, but I would idle in this more than anything, okay? And for earrings, you can go a lot of different ways. If I wanted to max DT a little bit more, I would just quickly make this swap. I would go ahead and put Genmei in this slot and then call it a day because that would put me closer to the 50 because currently this set is at 47, so +2 puts me at 49, for example. So you could do that, but we're min-maxing in this set, so I'm focusing on HP more than anything else, and everything else on this earring is honestly a joke. I mean, they're up there. The accuracy 10 is not bad, and the stats in general are up there. But the reason why it's in this slot is because it converts the HP, 100 HP. 100 MP goes to 100 HP in this slot, and you do it again in this slot. So that's 200 HP out of nowhere in 2 slots. That's great. 2 earrings, 200 HP. Why do you need damage taken minus in this sense? Because you already have an extra 200 HP you tacked onto your guy to just absorb all that damage anyway. So you see what I'm saying? Like at that point, when you're really looking at the bigger picture, stacking HP is gonna save you almost always. Okay. Third row, it's pretty much the same as the second row. You're going Immunity, really high Immunity, high HP, and DT minus. And that's what you're going to basically lock yourself in for 99% of the battles on Runefencer. And Immet Harness has all this. And so it's a fantastic piece of gear. I mean, everyone should get this. Look at all the jobs that can equip this. You have to have Immet Harness at some point. Yes, there are better pieces out now that are specialized for certain jobs that are a little bit better and more in some situations than Immet Harness is, but Immet Harness still has Immunity 10 on it for like 20 different jobs. Guys, it's fantastic for that reason, among all those other reasons. Similarly speaking, Cuirass Gloves stacks Immunity, damage taken, and HP, and defense all in one piece. This is great. And it has an accuracy buff and an evasion buff on it. That's not bad either. The stats are pretty up there. There, again, are other pieces that have higher stats in general, but min-maxing, focusing on tanking, you would want something like this in this slot. Defending Ring. If you're not wearing this, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear you if you don't have a Defending Ring on. Defending Ring 10 damage taken minus makes it to where you can min-max your other 15 slots so much easier. You're very liberal with putting all these other pieces of gear together because you have the 10 right here that you need. That's a huge chunk towards your cap, and it's in one slot. Don't talk to me if you don't have it on, okay? Similarly, Moonbeam or Moonlight is a really good off ring. Now, a lot of other players are going to be like, oh, you need Vocane Ring. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But I'm a crafter, and I have Orvale Ring, and I can't have both. So for me, I just bought this because I don't have the Vocane Ring. But ideally, if you're trying to take the job more seriously, Vocane Ring should be in this slot. That's it. Bottom row. There's a lot of ways to go with the cape. There is, like, more than you probably would ever imagine. You could main the Solemnity cape in sub White Mage, for instance. Like, you can do that. That works. Okay. So if you have more gear, you can you unlock more potential on all these other sub jobs you never thought about playing. For instance, the Moonlight min maxes on all the things you really care about: defense, HP, damage. So that's fantastic, and it's all jobs. So a lot of the times for tank related stuff, if I'm min maxing, this is going to be in that slot for the same ring, the same reason that defending ring is in my ring slot, right? Now you could obviously go with Ogma or Evasionist because, to be honest, out of all of the what is this, Reeve capes that you can make from that set of capes from the Reeve content, for out of all the jobs, all 22 jobs in the game, Reeve capes galore. My favorite is Runefencer. This is my favorite Reeve cape. All the other ones are pretty much they pale in comparison to this, and this isn't even great stats. This isn't even great stats. I like the embolden, and I macro this in for my embolden job ability because it's fantastic. It's almost capped. Cap is 15, I believe. But in general, that's a pretty good roll on the evasion cape. And I don't have to worry about getting another ambuscade cape, more or less. So this is 4 on the back, damage taken, 3 on the front, damage taken. That's 7 in one slot. Basically defending ring, basically Vocane ring, right? And then all this other stuff. I mean, it's great. It's great. It's just as good, if not better, than Moonlight Cape. But Moonlight Cape has the HP, which is why I'm in max and put the Moonlight Cape in this slot because of the HP that it has on it. It's basically the same as DT minus, in my opinion. Okay, but Ogma, you can go so many different ways now with Ambuscade, but it's a grind, and it's one job only for these. So Moonlight, they're all good. They're all good choices. Don't overlook them. Consider more choices. There are more choices out there as well. Flume Belt +1. I could go a lot of things. I mean, most of the belts in this game are all jobs. In fact, this is my favorite belt in the game, Engraved Belt, and you can wear it. But if you're min-maxing and you're a bit shy on tankiness, it's a toss-up if you want to use this or you want to use it. Just depends on the boss. Like, honestly, if we're being totally honest, whatever boss you're in there, it's going to change. But in general, they're both good. They're both acceptable pieces, but Flume Belt has more defense on it. Vitality, PDT. I mean, if you're min-maxing and you're short on that for the one slot that the Flume Belt is going to take up, and for all those jobs, it's great. So I would wear either of them on Runefencer. That's probably all you'll catch me wearing, though, those two particular belts. Maybe Orneros for the HP buff, because I really like that, but it pales in comparison to all of the stats on these other two, right? Or, yeah, the other two. Pales in comparison. Those are great stats. Okay. On the leg slot, I don't have that many great legs for Runefencer. Unfortunately, most of my legs are like limbo trousers or Noyan pants or what. This is trash for Runefencer. But the JSC, excuse me, the Ambuscade sets are great. So any one of the Ambuscade sets, depending on the content, is what you'll wear. I think out of the two, the one that I'm wearing is Meganata, and it's superior because it gives you the PDT and the triple attack. Okay, the triple attack is going to allow you more utility in the combat because you're going to get to 1,000 TP faster. And who knows, maybe you sub Dancer and you need that to cure yourself. So that's, you see what I'm saying? Like, in general, I think that the Meganata is a superior piece, even though there's more defense and HP on the Aeonmo, simply because who cares about fast cast, right? When you have triple attack 5, that's a huge number. That's a huge number. The only reason it's a balanced piece of gear is because it lowers all of the other stats like defense and HP to have the triple attack 5 on it, and that makes it really good. And if there were a +3, I would definitely be getting it and rocking it. Could you imagine you're stacking even more stats on Meganata? Yeah. Meganata legs are great. It's my favorite Meganata piece, actually, out of the whole set, so I wear that. My previous video was saying rock the Carmine Koosas, and to be honest, let's talk about this briefly. This is a good leg for every one of those jobs. The only thing on this leg that basically makes it not playable on Runefencer is the fact that the healing magic doesn't help you nearly as much as it would all the other jobs. In most situations where you're using Carmincuses, that would be really good. But that is a stat that they added to the item and reduced the other stats of the item to compensate for healing magic skill. So when they designed the item, it was for healing magic, and you're not doing that on Rune. So you're wearing a piece of gear in a min-maxed set that's maxing out on a stat you don't need. No, that's not. Okay, everything else is great. Magic evasion 80 on the back end. Enhancing magic 18 is great. Spell interruption 20 is fantastic. Movement speed, you can kite the boss. Are you serious? Hey, everything is fantastic on this item on the back, but the front has healing magic on it, and you don't need that, and that is keeping the item balanced to a degree that you don't need to do that, okay? In the back end, dual wield, same thing. You're not dual wielding on Rune usually. So high accuracy, great. All the other stuff, great. But you're min-maxing, and you don't need dual wielding, and you don't need healing magic skills, so you don't wear it. So that's why I changed from 2017 in this version and the 2019 version of my Runefencer how-to. I went with the Meganata in that slot for generic all intents and purposes. Okay. And last but not least, my tier 4 Rizenjima helm drop. This, I believe, is dropped off of, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the chess guy, the chess piece guy. I forget his name. It starts with an S. Whatever it is, he's a tier 4 Rizenjima boss. The name will come to me. But BG Wiki has the information. Anyway, Ahosi leggings. Enmity, HP, DT minus. That's what you need. That's what you need, and that's what you get in this slot. So you wear something like this, and you go tank for people, even if you're not mastered, and you don't have Ippo and all this other stuff, like, you're good. You can still function as a Runefencer. You can still do the job. And taking from my experience over the past several years playing Runefencer, blinking out of a set like this into anything else to min-max on like your spellcasting speed or your enhancing magic plus or your job abilities, your particular job abilities, blinking for that split second is gonna get you killed. Mark my words, it's gonna get you killed. It's gonna wipe your party, and it's gonna cost you the content. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just lock this 16-piece gear set and call it a day. You don't need weapon skill damage or anything on Rune. You don't. You don't need anything. You just need to stay alive and keep hate. And that's it. And when the summoners are ready to do the bullshit, for instance, I'm assuming you're doing a magic burn, then you just go ahead and you use your abilities, your Gambit and your Rake. I think you would do it in that order, or one or the other. One of them lasts a bit longer. I want to say Gambit lasts longer than Rake, but I could be backwards. But I'll second guess myself over and over on this. Main Runefencers would know the particulars of this, and I think I've posted it in previous videos, but I can't be bothered to remember this sort of thing. So for those, you might blink into some stuff, sure, whatever, but in general, you would just keep the gear on that keeps you alive. Anyway, I promised I would keep this video short, so we're going to end it here. Thanks for watching the content, and I will see you in the next video. Let me know in the comments what particular types of videos in the future you want to see, and I'll work something out. Thanks for watching. Peace.